Right, so at this point, you should have the rectangle initialized, and you should have that picture loaded into your project via the load content method. So remember, we have two different objects here, a texture 2D object and a rectangle object. The texture 2D object actually loads in and holds our image, and the rectangle object gives it specifications to display on the screen with the X and Y locations, the width, and the height. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to draw this picture to the screen, and just as you kind of would expect, this happens down in the draw method. So we're going to go down to the draw method, and we're actually going to add this in. Now, there's kind of a general layout for how we add in these pictures. You can see that here on my PowerPoint. We're going to use spritebatch.begin, spritebatch.end, and spritebatch.draw. And what this will do is it will actually create some code that will actually be able to use methods to draw your picture to the screen. So each time we do this, we'll have a spritebatch.begin with no parameters being sent in, spritebatch.end with no parameters being sent in, and then you can put as many draw commands on the inside of that as you would like. So you could put many pictures in here. We're just doing one for this project, but we'll do spritebatch.draw, and then we'll actually draw our image to the screen. Now, if you look here at the code in blue, we need to send in 3 parameters when we're drawing. We send in a texture 2D object, that in this case is tiger. So we're sending in our image, we're sending in the rectangle to hold the image, and then we're sending in the color of the background that we want that image to be. So you can give it a hue of any color that you choose. So from here, I'm going to send in a picture of tiger. That's my texture 2D object. Then my rectangle to hold that object and display it on the screen is tiger rect. And then I'm going to give it a color of color.white. Now, using a color.white object will just display that picture as is, and I'll show you in a little bit how we can actually display that then to have different colors and et cetera, et cetera. So we have now put all the code into our program that will actually display this to the screen. Now, if you look here, how do you make that picture span your entire screen? There are 2 ways that you can access the dimensions of your window. You could give your picture a width of 800 and a height of 480 because your window that your little screen pops up in is actually 800 pixels by 480 pixels. Or you can use this code right here, which is graphicsdevice.viewport.width. That will change your width to be whatever the viewport of your screen actually is, which in this case defaults to 800 pixels. And then your height will default to 480 pixels, and you could do graphicsdevice.viewport.height. If you did change those dimensions of your viewport of your window on your screen, they would change with that. Just know that by default, that will be 800 pixels in your width by 480 pixels for your height. So at this point now, we can actually press start. And what you should notice is that it's trying to run, it's going. It tries to display something and then it goes, oh shoot, there's a content load exception was not handled. Now, there's a funny thing that's built into MonoGame, and I purposefully make this error so that you have to go in and change it in your program too. But there's actually one different property we need to change of a picture if we want to actually display it on our screen. So what I'd like you to do is press stop. And if you look over here and you click on tiger.jpg, what you'll notice down here in the properties is there is something that says copy to output directory, and by default, it is set to do not copy. And that is basically not allowing your picture to be copied to the screen. So what you need to do is you need to click on this down arrow, and you need to change that to copy always and say, yes, you might always copy a copy of my picture to the screen. And now if you press start, Tiger will be displayed on your screen. You can see that he goes over about 100 pixels, down about 50 pixels, and then you can see that his width is about 400 pixels by 300 pixels. Now, if you want to experiment with color a little bit, press the X, we can do that. So go down here, and if you do a different color, like color dot, I'm going to do pink. Maybe I'll do hot pink. There we go. So now if I press start, what you'll notice is Tiger has a different hue. He has a hue of hot pink. So that color component, that color parameter that you're adding in is giving the background of your picture a hue of that color. So what I would like you to do here is now your task is to add in your own first picture. So You can use one of your own pictures. I have another picture on my classroom website, a second picture of my kitten Tiger when he was actually still a kitten. So you can use that picture if you'd like. You can use any picture you want, but I want you to experiment. Add your own images and your own pictures into your game. And when you're done, I'll come over and I'll check that off for you, and then you can move on to the next lesson. So hopefully that goes well for you. Let me know what you need.